So, welcome everybody to the conference with Le Cercle des Langues. Today we are discussing the art of follow-up, professional phrases for post-meeting communication. So, post-meeting communication, that means the communication after a meeting. Tonight's conference is for level A1 to A2. So for the next 25 minutes, I am going to present the conference. And for the last 5 minutes, we will have a question and answer. So if you have any questions, if there is vocabulary that you do not understand, please feel free to put your questions into the chat, or you can write your questions on a piece of paper. Remember that the PDF is in the chat so that you can download it to keep it for your future reference. So let's begin. Today's conference will have 4 parts. We will talk about the essence of the follow-up. So why does it matter? We are going to be discussing the importance of the follow-up. We are also going to look at the structure and the style. So building the perfect follow-up message. So what do we do to create a message that talks about the follow-up? In our third part, we will talk about expressing connection. So linking ideas and maintaining the flow. And our final part, we are going to look at real communication. Follow up in action. So why does a follow-up matter? So let's first understand what is the meaning of a follow-up. Following up after a meeting shows professionalism, interest, and respect. It keeps communication alive and reinforces your message. In business, silence can be misread as disinterest or forgetfulness. So a follow-up is key. So when you follow up, it means if you have had a conversation with a client or you have had an exchange with someone where they either have to do something for you or you have to do something for them, the follow-up is what happens after to make sure that that gets done. They say the ideal follow-up happens within 24 to 48 hours. It's also important to remember that maybe you have agreed to follow up in 1 week or in a few days. That is also okay. It's just that typically when we want to keep the relationship alive, 24 to 48 hours is ideal. The tone of your follow-up must be polite, positive, and purposeful. For example, it was great meeting you yesterday. I'm following up to confirm our next steps. So depending on where you live, there could be different cultural approaches or differences in culture. So in the UK, people often send a short, polite message soon after the meeting. For example, hi, it was great meeting you. We will chat in the week, for example. But in France, follow-up messages are often more formal and may take longer to send. So depending on whether you are meeting for business or whether you are meeting in a more informal setting. British communication values friendliness and modesty, while French communication values precision and courtesy. So let's look at 5 common UK follow-up expressions. Just a quick note to say thank you for your time. It was great speaking with you earlier. I wanted to follow up on our discussion about. Please find attached the notes from our meeting and looking forward to hearing from you soon. So there are many more expressions that can be used. These are just 5 that are worth noting. So let's look at the structure and style. How do we create that perfect follow-up message? A message that is well balanced and it delivers what we would like to say with politeness. So we will look at 4 key stages: the greeting and the thanks. So we start with a polite greeting and a short thank you to show appreciation. For example, thank you very much for meeting with me yesterday. This shows appreciation and starts your message politely. And in our second stage, we communicate the purpose of the message. For example, we clearly explain why we are writing. So for example, are we confirming something, or are we clarifying details, or are we just continuing the conversation? For example, I'm writing to follow up on our conversation about the new project. So this explains clearly why you are writing. In our third stage, we add key details or actions. We mention what was discussed and what the next steps are. Sometimes it's good to mention what was discussed in case we forget, and also to make sure that there are no misunderstandings. For example, as discussed, I will prepare the report by Friday and send it to you for review. This reminds the reader of what was agreed. And in the fourth stage, we close the message and we end it with a polite goodbye. We end with a friendly professional sentence and your name. For example, looking forward to hearing from you soon. Best regards, Emma. This ends your email with a friendly and professional tone. So, what are 5 important tips that we can look at when we're thinking about our structure and our style of this particular message? We must remember to keep our message short and focused. Use polite and positive language. Remind the reader of the key point of the meeting. Check our spelling and our tone before sending, and always end with a professional closing line. So when we have looked at the structure, it's also important that we express connection. For example, linking ideas and maintaining a good rhythm and flow in our message. So we express connection by linking words to show the relationship between ideas. For example, do we want to show the cause, the result, the contrast, or would we like to add information? So how exactly do we link ideas? We link ideas. It helps your message sound clear and natural, and it makes your email easy to read and to follow. But the most important part is that we do all of this by using simple connectors. And these show how the thoughts connect and relate to each other. So what are our connectors? Our connectors are linking words that help bring two ideas together. For example, if I am adding an idea, I will most likely use and. For example, thank you for your time and your advice. So these are two similar ideas. I will use but if I would like to show a contrasting idea. So an idea that is different. For example, I liked your idea, but I think we need more time. If I want to give someone a reason, I will use because. For example, I'm writing because I want to confirm our next meeting. If I would like to give a result, something that has happened as a result of something, I will use so. The report is ready, so I am sending it today. And if I would like to show what the next step was or is, I will use then. We discussed the plan, then we agreed on the next step. So here are some tips on how to maintain that flow. So the first thing is we should use short sentences. For example, thank you for your time. I'll send the file today. Because this ensures that we don't add unnecessary information and make the message too long. We also repeat the keywords for clarity. For example, the meeting was useful. The meeting helped us make a decision. And number 3, we use connectors naturally. We met on Tuesday and I wanted to follow up today. So let's look at real communication, the follow-up in action. So 3 key tips, for example, for the USA. Americans appreciate quick replies. So send your follow-up within 24 hours. Be friendly, but direct. Say clearly what you need. End with a confident call to action. When we talk about a call to action, it is inspiring the person who is reading the message to act. For example, let's confirm the next step. In the UK, we start with a polite phrase. Being too direct can sound rude. So we use soft language. For example, I was wondering if, or perhaps we could. Sometimes a little humor or warmth can make the message feel more natural. So let's look at an example of an American style follow-up. Hi Sarah, it was great speaking with you yesterday. Thanks again for taking the time. I just wanted to touch base about our project plan and see if we can move forward this week. Let's confirm the next steps when you have a moment. So looking at this follow-up, we can see that the tone is upbeat, it's confident, it's proactive. So very much in line with an American style of writing. But if we look at a British English follow-up, Dear Sarah, just a quick note to say thank you for your time yesterday. It was great speaking with you. I wanted to follow up on our discussion about the project timeline and confirm the next steps. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. So the tone has slightly shifted to more of a polite, modest, and friendly. So it's more of a typical British professional style. So in conclusion, follow-up is not pressure, it's presence. Each message is a soft echo of professionalism, attention, and care. When we follow up with sincerity, we build bridges instead of reminders. In business and in life, those who follow up don't just get answers, they earn respect. So follow-up is the art of staying memorable in a world that forgets quickly. So it's also important to remember that everyone is different and you will judge your follow-up response according to the person that you are dealing with and what kind of relationship you share. So thank you everybody for watching this conference with Le Cercle des Langues. I hope that the vocabulary was clear. And remember that when you download the PDF from the chat, you can then mark the parts that you find useful and use these in the future.